I'm having so many conversations that are so frustrating. It's like,
Mhm.
you mean, I know you're not a fan of, and what you mean something that doesn't stop transmission, it doesn't reduce infectivity, it has no long-term studies, it's not approved until 2023. I mean, they're show me why you want it. Okay, here we're back to get our sovereign status, to take back our rights that should never have been taken from us in the first place because they were taken illegally. Now, to help us along this journey, we have Diane Kazer, pro soccer player, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, courage coach, abso-friggin-lutely courage coach, holistic, really, honest to God, when you say courage coach, oh, here's a break. Hi, dear.
Hi, wifey
No, no.
D. Hi, wifey Bergman.
Courage coach, holistic beauty expert, author of Killer Breast, a step-by-step book on overcoming breast implant illness, which I mean, we got to talk about your interview with David Icke and what you're doing with that. I mean, just brilliant. Okay, and Dennis Knill, previous sheriff of Ohio, who served 6 years before running for president back in 2012, which the 2012 Olympics, that we got to talk about today. And he currently serves as justice of the state, sheriffs of Yavapai County, and Arizona state chairman, recorder, and coordinator for the Arizona Assembly, leading the way to reclaim sovereignty. Welcome back. God bless you, folks. Okay, now today is still the approved version, I think. Next week, we can delve into the stuff that these current censors in our socialist republic now won't allow.
Right.
God, welcome back.
Well, welcome to freedom of speech, right?
Welcome to freedom of speech, kind of. You
Yeah.
know, whatever the government will allow.
Right.
Now, getting into this, now we're going to go over all the processes of doing this, but there's a couple of questions here that were suggested by Kat. Do you have insights into the future of agriculture, farmland, water rights, and seed rights? One of the reasons I'm asking that question first is because right now we're seeing gas prices through the roof. We go from an energy exporter to now we're helping fund Russia with their environment. I'm telling everybody, when you go to the store, get extra cans of food, extra dry goods, stuff that you can store, because the food shortage and money shortage and inflation are coming up. So right now, I've got a couple of friends that have farms, and they're talking about conserving water rights in California to 50 gallons per person per day, which means every home garden is gone.
Yep.
Okay, and that's going to make the fire season worse. So insights in the future of agriculture, farmland, water rights, and seed rights. What do you have?
Yes, everybody should definitely start stocking up on different things because things are going to change. We may see them get worse before they get better. But yeah, there's so much craziness going on. And supposedly the plan is in effect to make sure that all of the other side, I'll say, okay, I don't want to name any political parties, but the other side, to show how bad Biden actually is. So everyone truly knows how evil our government is. This isn't just a political war. It's between good and evil. And it right now, you think it's chaotic. I mean, some people will say, what are you talking about chaotic? Well, that's because they're tuned out. All right. They have no idea what's going on. But a lot of things are going to be happening. For instance, the gasoline. All right. And then there's going to be the water, and the gasoline's going to hit the West Coast too. There's going to be some kind of mysterious shutdown or cyber attack or some kind of thing like that. And of course, it's going to affect here because they want to keep everybody at home because the COVID thing is kind of up in the air. You know, nobody knows what's going on. Do you wear a mask? Don't you wear a mask? Uh, I don't at all. And, you know, people give me the stink eye and I just give it to them right back. And it's like, hey, you
I just
know,
smile at them back.
yeah, there you go. Exactly. So, but all that stuff is going to be happening, and then they're probably going to hit the water supply. So start, you know, stocking up on water and, like you say, canned foods and, you know, things like that to get you through for about 2 weeks. Okay, internet can go down, electricity can go out. It's the ploy of the deep state to, you know, try and make us as miserable as possible, and thinking that, you know, Biden's the hero of the day, but he's really very, very evil. So, but a lot of things are going to come to light after, you know, the chaos has hit, where everybody's wondering, you know, what's going on. So
Now,
just be prepared. Don't
on,
want to scare anybody, but, you know,
on
just in case.
state sovereign rights, like when we become, you know, sovereign, I
Right.
understand that it's laid out on a county basis, and then the counties form the states, and then the states, you know, are part of the union.
Right.
On farmland, agricultural land, and everything, you have some counties dependent on water that flows from other counties.
Right.
So how does the state's assembly work with, like, one county that may have an abundance of water and that flows through to another county that has like land and agricultural? What are the are there listed? Because I don't even know. Water rights, agricultural rights. So do we have, when we're in that sovereign status, that we have
Yep.
rights to the entire state resources and they have to be allocated?
Yes. But see, when there are more nationals than there are U.S. citizens, or there's an equal parity, and we have our enforcement up and running, and we have our courts, and we have everything that's falling into place now, our banks and so on like that, we will have the say so. Yeah. So when we're at that position to do that, everybody in the state will have equality. All right, all of the nationals together, and it's from the assemblies. Okay, it's from the people in the counties. They say, hey, we need this. Okay, great, we've got this much, you know, if there was a shortage or something like that. But there shouldn't be, because the world's full of plenty of everything. It's the government that's controlling everything and shutting things down.
I'll answer your question to that too. I've got a couple insights on this as well. As you know, Agenda 2030, which was previously Agenda 21, now is Agenda 30, because the light has been overcasting the shadows. They wanted to put this into motion a long time ago, but because of the rate at which so many of us are waking up and going sovereign and claiming our sovereignty, whether or not it's beneficial, you know, within the way that we're talking about here. It's a frequency, and then it's also a going sovereign via paperwork, right? We talk about, you need to have both. You can't just sign some papers and just say that you're free. You have to have that frequency of sovereignty as well in every cell of your makeup. And by 2030, the plan, the goal is that America, this is how they position it, right? Is that animals need to be sovereign too. And it's again that Greta pulling at the heartstrings of the greenhouse gases and climate change. The goal is by 2030 that every human will only be allowed an allowance of six pounds of meat per year. Think about that. 6 pounds of meat. That's all that we'll be able to have. And right now, Bill Gates, who currently owns 242,000 acres of farmland, is trying to make Oregon, you know, the first safe state for animals. And so what they're trying to pass right now is that there will be no more animals for slaughter in Oregon. And what that means is that we're going to move to 100% synthetic beef, 100% synthetic. And that is a gradual move from 2021 to 2030. So some of you in the YouTube comments, I don't know where this is going to end up, but many people I've been scanning them are saying that this whole thing that we're talking about here is a scam and it's a fraud. Well, you've got two different frauds that you could be a part of if that's your perception. You could be a part of the government scam, which is moving in this direction. Or you could be a part of what we're talking about here, what you think might be a scam. You get to decide what your reality is.
Yeah. What's actually happening. So Oregon is creating that.
Yes.
But that you cannot have a farm, a plant farm, without having animals, animal waste, animal processing. I mean, there's a balance with the nutrients in the soil and how animals can eat up the waste products of the farmland. And
Yes.
you need that. You need, I mean, for organic or normal farming, chemical-based farming is a disaster. I mean, when we get patients, and I'm talking 500 miles either side of the Mississippi, they're talking allergies, asthma, inflammatory bowel disorders, because the glyphosates and the chemicals, the fertilizers, are destroying these people's immune system.
The pathway to disease is through, like you talk about, leaking out glyphosate. That's it.
You're telling me this is in place in Oregon now. That's
yes.
what they're going for.
Oh, yeah. This is what's happening right now. Oregon is the first place that they want to make. This is what they want to make this the poster child. So there's actually an article that just came out 6 days ago that's headlined "Bill Gates' War on Food: New Oregon Law Seeks to Ban Meat." And so, we know that Bill Gates is the biggest promoter of GMOs and that 90% of our foods now are genetically modified. So genetically modified humans is the goal. And they've already been doing genetically modified humans through genetically modified organisms foods since 1996, when they started using a long list of glyphosate on a lot of these crops. So that's the plan. And that's what they're going to be, just like they're using California as a poster child for certain things. They're using New York as a poster child for certain things. Like right now, you can move to New York if you want. And if you live in New York just announced you could apply for a $5 million Vax and Scratch lottery, which they're using to boost shots. So this is happening everywhere. And if you think that these people are not the fraud, but we're the fraud for talking about these things, and you're slandering Dr. B for putting these things out there, then you might just be under some form of hypnosis.
And I've been called, because I like the science, okay, and individuals are individuals. You can't have one therapy for everyone, and there's a risk benefit ratio with anything that you put in there.
Right.
So if you look at the risk of chickenpox versus the risk of the shot, and that immune system response that you get, I've been called baby killer for saying, look at the healthier child instead of 72 doses of 17 different over an 18-year period, particularly when we're getting, a third of our practice is under 12, and we hear the same story, developing normally. I've been called baby killer and everything you could imagine. So what is that? Is just my practice unique that I see that?
It's called Stockholm Syndrome projection.
Yeah, because when you look at the statistics of America, where inflation is going to be through the roof. You can't just keep printing stuff. We have a massive labor shortage in America, because I can't find doctors. I can't find an x-ray tech. It's impossible to find workers because they're being paid to stay home. Now, if they're paid to stay home, they're not producing goods. That means our gross national product is in the toilet. Okay, so there is no conspiracy theory here that the economy is going to crash, and that the government currently, whatever your thoughts are on Biden. Anytime I say, look, Biden is like slow mentally, well, he had a speech impediment when he was a kid or something. No, okay,
the economy needs to crash. That's their goal. The goal is to crash all of this as it's happening right now, so that they can install the Great Reset. It's right there. There's no incentive to work because they're being paid to stay home. And you say labor is down. I'm also thinking that labor, is in terms of like mothers going into labor, having children, that's also going to be down too, because not many people are going to be able to have children when there's this many artificial foods that we're consuming. There'll be artificial babies, and that's our future if we don't go sovereign and wake up now.
Yeah, it's like what I spoke at a chiropractor's office last week, and there were two doctors there, actually three chiropractors, and one of them was saying, look, now that people are getting, we're seeing this viral shedding.
Mhm.
And it's affecting people's menstrual cycles and their health. And so what could we do? One of our office staff was, looked like 7, 8 months pregnant. She was ready, nearing the end of gestation. What do you do to protect her? So when you're talking, the foreign spike protein emits a prion-like disease, okay, or adaptation in a human, you're inducing brain damage. We're inducing mad cow disease in people by injecting this. And now we're coming up to the thing where unless you have the right to say no, this is a forced medical procedure every year the rest of your life. They will take over. The sovereignty of your own body is gone. That is not a conspiracy. That is what's actually happening. Okay, people are conspiring to take over every aspect of your life. And this is the only friggin' thing that I can see that we can take it back, because the laws are in place. Like one of the biggest things, and I was watching this on microloans in Africa, and they said one of the precursors before microloans, where you'd get $100 to start a jewelry business, where you're hand making jewelry, is the legal system. Laws have to be in place, because otherwise a warlord can come in and take everything that you have. We're in almost to that warlord status now.
Money is the greatest manipulator.
Money is the greatest manipulator. Okay, so now, I love this. What are the appropriate ways or loopholes to owning property and maintaining land rights? Now, and this is huge, because if you have, property and you have a loan on it, okay, and you're making payments to the bank, and what you can, and you're paying property taxes, is there, when you're sovereign, is that property more protected? Because there's almost where the government can come in and take it away from you, and they've done that several times in California.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, what's happening there is, to be able to get your land patent, all right, first you have to become an American national, because U.S. citizens are considered corporations. Corporations and U.S. citizens cannot own land. All right. So you have to be, you can rent it all you want, but you cannot own it. So when you become an American national, you go through the process of getting your land patent, which means no more property taxes. It belongs to you, because right now everything is considered commercial, as in commercial code, corporation code. So all of the laws and statutes that are out there are for the corporations, and each citizen is a corporation. So they're basically working away, paying the debts of the bigger corporations. That's why they don't want American nationals around, because the more American nationals go, they have to start paying their debt.
Now,
corporations do.
In order to do that to your property, do you have to own it outright, or?
No, you can be paying on it, but be an American national. As soon as you become an American national, you go through this little course by Ron Gibson, and there's a couple other people that have the same process, and it costs like $100 or something like that to learn the process, and you search your title back as far as it goes to the land patent, because land patent was it was land given to the royalty of the kings back then, and it was given to them. And then the church came in and started saying, okay, well, we'll take the crummy land and we'll put the peasants on it, and they'll grow food, and they'll, and everybody else started doing the same thing. And then they says, hey, well, we should tax all of them, and we can keep collecting this land, and they'll never be able to own it. So you have to go back to the land patent, where it was free land. Now, the county courthouses probably won't help you with that, and the title agencies will think that you're crazy. So you kind of have to do the search. You can pay somebody to do it to find out who was the original owner under the land patent. And then you have bought it from that person.
Wow.
And then it is your land and you can do anything you want with it
Yeah,
because you own it.
There's something, you know, and to play, I don't even like to use the word devil's advocate. I'll just say, we'll play the other side of it. But many people will say, well, I heard of somebody who owned their land, didn't pay taxes, and they got taken to jail for that reason. So I know that I don't own land myself, so I haven't been through this process, but there's something called a loyal title, which technically constitutes that you own the real property that is independent of any superior landlord. And I know that there's responsibility here, you guys. So again, we're not just saying that you just follow what Dennis says and then you don't understand the language. You have to also understand the loopholes of this, so that's not you. So maybe you could speak to that a little bit, Dennis, because I don't own any land, but these are stories that have been circulated where people will say, no, you guys are frauds. This is bad information, blah, blah, blah. Listen to me, my friend, da, 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 da. So what would you say to that?
I would say they need to do their homework. A loyal title is almost the same thing as a land patent. Okay. But once you go through that course, you are on the lawful land. American nationals are the lawful government of the land. Okay. Everything else is corporation and corporate laws.
Mhm.
All right. So them trying to, if they own their land and they have the land patent, no one can even come on their property. No one.
Wow.
So evidently they didn't own it outright, or they didn't have the patent, or they didn't have the allodial title.
That was it.
I'm sorry.
That was it. That was the last missing step that I had heard,
Yeah.
is that was a person here in Sedona went through that same process, but he didn't have the allodial title. So there was just one step missing.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to do it correctly, or they'll come in, because the corporations think they own everything because they own the people because of the birth certificates, making everybody corporations. Once you get out of that by changing your status, they can't even talk to you because every corporation is your employee, because we are the lawful government. That means police departments, that means judges, that means the Supreme Court, that means everybody.
Man.
Okay, and that's why everyone needs to become an American national, is to sway the tide, as it is, as you might say. All right, because we're on one side here and the government's on the other side with the US citizens. And once we get closer to that, more and more people, even if it's like 3/4 way to half, okay, so it's like a third of the way through, you will see changes like you've never seen before. Because we are the law of the land, and that will change. And there's like 85 million something statutes and codes. Most of those can be voided out. And we can do that.
And growing.
And growing. And we have the authority to do that. And we need to start. And that's why we're doing these podcasts, and get people, on the land, protect yourself, get the assemblies going, and create our own courts and our own laws. And that's what we need to do.
Diane, I was in the same boat. I mean, I heard about this a little bit, but it's like, oh, it's a scam to not pay taxes. That's not true. Yeah. Okay. This is to take your rights back. And in the old days, like I'm talking way back to 2019, I thought that my rights couldn't be taken away. Okay. Now it's like, the conspiracy is literally the delusion that you actually have rights, and that you're living in a free state, and that you are an independent person, and your rights are protected, that no one can come in and take away your shit, or limit your body's your ability to worship God, or no one's ever going to close the churches because we've got the ACLU, we've got all these lawyers. None of that stuff is true. So if you're looking at our podcast right now, and you're saying, well, my world is this, and I'm going to just vote and expect my vote to be counted, and know my rights are protected, wake the hell up. Okay, your rights are not what they were in 2019. Oh, because there was a crisis. Really, has there ever been another crisis before? Okay, this does take effort. It does, honest to God. I mean, I'm busy doing a bunch of other stuff, and I've got my office manager looking in and filling out all the paperwork for me. Okay,
Aw.
so oh, minis, thank God. Everybody needs a mini.
Can you
Thank you,
clone her?
Minnie. Thank you
Oh
for
my
helping
God.
Dr.
Oh my
B
God.
go free.
And when we're getting all of this paperwork, I'm going to have a step-by-step, but you already got the step-by-step done.
Mhm.
You just got to look into it. Like right now, okay, if you're watching the podcast, I'm getting information from Dennis and Diane the same way. Ron Gibson, property, land patent, buddy, that I'm going to be looking up this weekend. A Lloydial title, bam, I'm there. Okay, so this way I can learn more, and that's what you got to do. I
Mhm.
mean, I just learned about the 2012 Olympics in London, and none of this stuff made sense. I mean, a dead baby scam, and this is, just for everybody, people that know a heck of a lot more than me gave me some questions to ask two people who know a heck of a lot more than me too. And I just want to read this question. Okay, can you explain what the dead baby scam is and the history of the dragon tribe in Africa? Now, wait, before you guys talk. Okay, um, I looked it up before I started to talk to you, and it brought me to the 2012 Olympics, and it was the most bizarre thing. You
Yeah.
saw little kids in hospital beds, supposedly honoring the National Health Service and a children's hospital, and this symbol of death walking through the. It was, huh? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And how do you, for the Olympics, and you're going, what is really going on here? Well, it's their way of kind of hinting at the future. All right. And they do it subtly. That's like when Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out. All right. That came out. I can't even remember when. Good movie. But that's just to let people know that, yeah, there are UFOs and they are out there. They're not going to give you any more information. So there's a lot of stuff on the internet about UFOs here and UFOs there, and there's more and more. It's because they're concerned about our planet more than we are. Okay, because everything works together. It's all
Predictive programming.
synchronized. Okay, so they're concerned about what's going on here, even though Americans are sitting back on the couch watching the boob tube,
Watching the predictive programming.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the movies that show us the future.
The programming, exactly. All right, and they're programming us all the time. So, but yeah, and I think I told you on one of the other podcasts about the people on the news where they read a CDC report, be prepared for the zombies, and everybody just looked at each other in awe and was, what are you talking about? So that's their little way of predicting what's going to happen in the future, and that's coming because of the jab.
Is that what they did with the dead baby scam too? Because I don't know anything about that one, Dennis, but I found an article on Anna von Reitz's website on this.
Right. Well, the dead baby scam is when you are born, you come out and you're born as a national. All right. Then the placenta comes out. All right. They said that's the first dead baby. You're the twin sister or the twin brother. And then
Strawman.
they put yeah, exactly. So first one they bury, which they don't, they keep it for your DNA. So everyone's got DNA recorded wherever you were born. And then they put you in as the straw man and make you a corporation. Okay, yeah. So they have total control of you.
Yeah, that's okay. Again, for the conspiracy theorist, Dennis, you just said on the CDC site, they said zombie apocalypse.
Right. It was actually on the news, national news.
I saw this years ago and I was like, why is this on the CDC?
I used this in one of my health talks years ago. And I correlated it with that the autistic epidemic, okay, which started when they, you know, increased the and took away the liability, that when, you know, these 35-year-old kids that are nonverbal autistics, they're not functioning in society, and their parents die and they're not insurance. I mean, you got a 35-year-old nonverbal autistic that can't communicate rummaging through a trash can. I mean, that's zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Now, with the prion formation from the spike proteins that is introduced into people through this, that causes brain damage.
Yes,
I mean, that's literally mad cow. So we're in, I mean, the zombie apocalypse, and that's what it says. It says, be prepared for things that are going to be unusual. Okay. And unusual,
very
neurological.
unusual.
Yeah. With a massive spike, you know, hockey stick spike of neurologic disorders that we're seeing before the shot.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So cool. So what, please, anybody listening to this, if you understand that the world over the last year and a half has been radically changed, that rights are being taken away incredibly fast, using just fear. Okay, look at the facts. Do not follow with the herd. They are turning the herd with all this fear. This gives this national sovereignty, becoming an American national. You literally have rights that no one can take away. Okay,
right.
This is the scam is the scamdemic. Okay, if you look at the number of people that died last year, there is no increase. If you look at the interventions that are being done, like masking, okay, covering the face of a healthy person, that's a friggin' scam. I can show you dozens of articles.
Yep.
Force vaccinating everyone, man, woman, or child, not based on the risk of disease, that's a scam. Okay, the scams are being perpetuated. So we literally, this is the only way that I can see to take our rights back. Please listen, look at all the podcasts. Dennis and Diane, I know I've seen you on a couple of podcasts. What other podcasts can people tune in on?
Who, me?
Yeah, because you both are. Well, I've seen you both before with another guy, and
okay.
I know you two, but I forget the other guy's name. But
me too.
Is there another podcast that you're on that you could explain or that you could recommend for people?
The one that I did with Diane when we first met, she did a podcast.
It's on my podcast. I can share that one.
Yep.
That one's a really good one because I ask a lot of real life questions about if you're a business owner or if you're a parent, if you're divorced, like the action steps in them.
Right. And then I did another one with a guy named Matthew, and Diane knows who that is. And I guess we're going to do another one with him. And then I'm going to do some with the guy who wrote The Thick Red Line.
Yeah, I was just going to say Howard. I'm going to have him on my show too. And I think he might be good for us to bring on for one of our future ones, Dr. B. He wrote this. We were just talking about this, the biggest scam in history. He's one of our friends and lives in Sedona.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we could bring him on as well. He's got a whole bunch of stuff, and I can send you some things for that too. So people can get a diversification, like a portfolio, if you will, of other people who are speaking about this.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And
okay, good.
I've done a couple others, one with Nicole she's in Colorado. And then I did another one with Gail, who's right here in Sedona too. I'm not sure if you know Gail, Diane. Gail Ross.
But the one that you did with Nicole is on our website, sovereignnational.us.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, cool. Please do the research. Get your power back. Okay, we're gonna keep doing these now. Isn't there like a regular one every Monday?
Yes, all of that information is on the one that mentioned, the website that I was just telling you guys about, where you're going to find all of your resources that you need is on sovereignnational.us. You can see how to tune in with me and Dennis on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then Anna's are on 6 p.m. Pacific time on Monday nights. She always maxes out. So you'll need to get there early because she only has space for 500 people. And you can listen to her speak directly. But you could also go to her website and see the archives of all these things, which is annavonwrites.com. And that's also on the website that I just mentioned, where we have all of our resources in one section, one area, which is the best way that you guys can take your power back and educate yourself, is on sovereignnational.us. And then start forming communities. You know, like we always talk about, start forming communities where you understand this from a constitutionalist. You're not going to hear this from a standard lawyer. They're going to tell you that you're crazy because they're also indoctrined. They're enlawyered and they're not doctored, they're enlawyered.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, right. And so we're taking charge here. I mean, if you think about how we can all take charge and do this together, you are trillions of cells, and your cells all talk to each other. We're in Sedona. We're taking charge of this in our own little community. And we're working with the police officers here, with the attorneys, with the constitutionalists, the doctors. We can only do so much. When we think about this, trying to take, how do you eat an elephant? I hate this.
One slice at a time.
I don't want to eat any elephant. I'll eat meat, but Bill Gates will tell me I'm, a terrible person for that. But one bite at a time. So it's like one cell, one community, one city at a time. We do this. And when you do this one small city at a time, it starts to expand and affect all the other cities around it. Like we're taking charge in Phoenix also. And there's constitutionalists there. There's people who know this information and know how to speak to this. So we've got to do this one city at a time, just like your body heals one cell at a time.
Fantastic. I mean, if you look back 2 weeks to flatten the curve, okay, you will never get your freedom back, ever. Okay, you will have to take it, and this is the only route.
Just like you say, you're a big proponent of this, Dr. B, is if you don't take time for your wellness now, you'll eventually be forced to make time for your illness later. If you don't make time for your freedom and sovereignty now, you will be forced to figure out how to be free later. And by then it will probably be too late.
Because you'll either be dead or in a FEMA camp.
Which feels like death, right? A lot of hospitals feel like a FEMA camp now.
There you go.
Well, when they came for the mentally defectives, I didn't stand up because I wasn't mentally defective. When they came for the gypsies, I didn't stand up because I wasn't a gypsy. When they came for the Jews, I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't stand up. When they came for me, there was nobody left. Okay.
Stand up.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that was totally aborted, paraphrased. I think it was a Catholic bishop that said that back in Nazi Germany.
Yep.
We got it. We got to take it back, though. Honest to God.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta start playing with patience. So I love you all. Okay.
Love you, Dr. B.
Okay.
Right,
Thank you. I mean, just I'm so honored to have connected to you. Thank you, God, for Corona. Otherwise, I would never have met you two.
Right.
Doing good things to bring us together.
That's the only good thing about it. Yep.
Okay. I love y'all, and I'll see you next week.
Next time. All right.
You got it. Thanks.
Be free, my friends.
Bye now.
Be free.
This is not a dream.
If you can hear my voice, you are part of the resistance.